Hello and welcome to Strange, where we make sense of the unusual in the Bible. We take strange passages, odd passages, maybe difficult passages, and interpret them in light of their context and give the meaning, oftentimes making a profound application to our life. Today we're going to take a look at the strange experience of Moses in the wilderness in Exodus chapter 4. And verses 24 through 26. Now, this is a bizarre thing. Moses, as you well know, in chapter 3, has his encounter with God, and God speaking to him through the burning bush, giving him a commission and declaration to say, go and declare to Pharaoh, let my people go. So here he goes. He's on his way with his wife Zapporah and his son, and Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26 give us this strange encounter as they're going back to make this incredible ministry moment as he stands before Pharaoh and leads God's people out of Egypt after 400 years of slavery. This is what happens, and we're going to look at the question, what was going on between Moses, his wife Zapporah, and their son in Exodus 4, 24 through 26. Let's go ahead and start out by reading verses 24 through 26. It says, "And it came to pass on the way at the encampment that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zapporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son, cast it at the feet of Moses' feet, and said, surely you are a husband of blood to me. So he let him go. Then she said, you are a husband of blood to me because of the circumcision." Now this is an odd experience. If you think of it, the Lord chose Moses to go back to Egypt to lead his people out of slavery after 400 years. This is strange. As he's going, he has this encounter where God, and the hymn there is God is trying to kill Moses. Now, why would God try to kill Moses? Why would he try to kill Moses after he has just a chapter prior commissioned Moses to go and declare to Pharaoh, let my people go? This is odd. Well, it seems from the context of what the conflict is in this marriage argument in the middle of the desert that Zapporah and Moses did not circumcise their son. Now, that might not seem a big deal to us, but circumcision was a sign of the covenant between God and Abraham. This was the sign that God would be with the descendants of Abraham from henceforth. It was done with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and on down through his lineage. So this was something of a mark on the flesh that would distinguish you as a follower of the Lord. And for whatever reason, Moses and Zapporah did not do this. Now, we're not told why they didn't do this. We can only guess, but what we're told is that they did not do this. And then on the way, at the encampment, I don't know how far that is. We don't know how far that is, but we know that it's on the way. God met Moses to kill him because he did not circumcise his son. Well, what is this crazy thing all about? Well, here's the principle. The principle is if Moses wasn't going to be faithful in the small things, God wasn't going to allow him to move any further into the big things. That's really where this strange, weird thing stands. It stands squarely in the place of faithfulness in the small and moving toward the big. You might say that, boy, I have a plan for my life. God has a plan for my life. I want to submit my life to God, and I want to do something big, and I want to do something grand, and just like the call that Moses had here. This is something big, grand. Thousands of years later, we're talking about it. But before he could arrive there, he had to be faithful in the small. And I'm afraid that's not as splashy and spectacular as what it sounds. It means that you and I, as well as Moses and Zapporah, need to be faithful to God in the everyday ways. The everyday ways of devotion to Him, prayer, asking Him and seeking Him, loving Him, honoring Him in every way that we can in our daily lives, doing what He requests, going where He leads. And then as life progresses, what you see is He'll give you more of a stewardship, more of a place of service, more perhaps of a blessing. Here, Moses and Zapporah did not agree. When your wife throws a foreskin down at your feet after cutting off the foreskin and circumcising your son, this is not a pretty sight for a married couple, much less a married couple that's getting ready to do this big thing that God has called them to. But it happens. Recognizing that we need faithfulness in the small in order to serve God, maybe in a bigger way. You see, what we come down to and what we land on with this strange and really odd passage is that in order for us to walk with God, in order for us to live a life worthy of the call that we've received in the gospel, God has saved us by His grace. He's equipped us for ministry. And if we were to say, you know, God, I want only to do the big. I only want to do the great thing. I only want to stand up and do the spectacular thing for everyone to see. And ignore those little things in your life. I'm not sure that God would be honored in that, and I'm not sure that He would even allow that. I think this encounter in the desert teaches us much about our faithfulness. But the second thing it does, now stay with me on this. Who are these guys in the desert? It's a family. It's a family. Moses, Zapporah, and their son. Moses failed to lead his family in the way that God would be honored. Caused conflict. Conflict that made it into the Bible. Conflict that would be remembered. Need not be that way. See, Moses should have taken care of this a long time ago. He should have been faithful to observe that covenant, which all Hebrews and Jews do, that covenant of circumcision that God made with Abraham so long ago. But here, what we discover is that Moses did not. And Moses was not faithful in that leading. In his own house, he struggled to be faithful to the small things. And when God had clearly called him to the bigger things. And God would not have Moses move any further in his ministry without acknowledging and performing those small things. Being faithful in those small things. I'd say, where does this land for us? You know, godliness begins in the home. Godliness begins in your marriage. The people that know you best are the people that live with you. They know you really well. They know if you are godly, humble, if you tell the truth, if you genuinely seek the betterment of other people and genuinely love and worship God. They know that. Here we can say that this family unit displayed something that was difficult, conflict, something that should have been taken care of a long time ago. And it was seen in this family unit. Here the family is represented, and you and I have families. We have people in our lives that see us, know us, perhaps better than anybody else, except God. They know who we are, truly. They know if we're faithful in the small things. They can see the trajectory. They can see what God is calling us to. They can see those great things that God has in store for us. But they can also see that faithfulness, that consistency. I challenge you today, and I would ask you, as a believer in following Jesus Christ, today is the day that you can seek God by being faithful in the small things. That you can walk with Him day by day, trusting in Him, blessing Him, serving Him, maybe in ways that few people see, but still yet faithful. And I know that God will bless you as you do those things. And as a steward proven faithful in the house will receive greater stewardship, I know God will bless in a way that will provide greater, whatever that greater is, greater blessing, greater enjoyment, greater satisfaction, a greater and wider influence. But my friend, we need to set our sights squarely on that which Moses failed in, and that is to be faithful in the small things, to be committed to God in those things which we ought to be doing all along. I hope you're encouraged by that. I am. Let's do this together. Let's be faithful to the Lord and walk in His ways. Little things, big things. Let's be faithful throughout. I pray God blesses you through this. And I pray that this will provide motivation for you in your walk with God this next week. May God bless you. We'll see you next time. Have a great week.